My 26F husband, 28M, threw popcorn at me, and I'm so hurt. We went to the movies tonight. I have been waiting almost 2 years since the release dates have been announced for Avatar 2. I was so excited and asked my husband of 3 years, together for 6, if we could go for my birthday. My birthday is at the end of November. He agreed, and we decided to go a little further to the city to see it on the biggest screen and most comfortable loungers and then go to our favorite pizza place nearby after. It was a much-needed date night and I just passed my first semester of nursing and am on break. I was really busy with school and very stressed. We get to the theater and get popcorn and pop to share. Before the movie starts I ask him to go get the free refill of popcorn and top off the pop. He does. He comes back, and the popcorn bag is torn. As I'm about to ask what happened, he throws the whole thing of popcorn at me. We sat in silence the whole movie, with me crying for the first half silently. And after the movie, once we're in the car, he tells me he is sorry and he didn't know why he did it. He thought I was laughing at him because apparently he fell walking up the steps to our seats. I just told him to take me home because I didn't want to eat anymore, considering I was crying and the night was ruined. I told him how excited you had been and how hurt and crushed I am now. I told him I accept he is sorry, but his apology doesn't make me feel better. Too long did not read. Husband threw popcorn at me at theater, later said he thought I was laughing at him, but I was about to ask what happened. Told him to skip going out to eat because he ruined the night. IDK, but I am so hurt by this action. It didn't physically hurt, but emotionally, it really hurts. IDK how to communicate how hurt I am. Also, am I ridiculous for being so upset? Edit. Replying to comments made me realize I might be so hurt because my relationship prior to my husband was abusive. This reminds me of that time in my life, like the beginning. Even if you were laughing at him, throwing something at you is not okay. This isn't about an argument ruining the night. He threw something at you in a fit of rage. Huge red flag, not at all acceptable. This is super random, humiliating and shocking. Like what the fuck? This really isn't okay and sounds like a really immature poss I dated before. He even did stupid crap to my dog, didn't physically hurt her but messed with her stuff. He was embarrassed so he took it out on you. On your birthday night out. What a loser. I'd be rethinking this relationship. He sounds insecure ASF. Maybe he's mad because you're successfully passing nursing school and he's tripping on some stairs, in the dark, where no one can see him, in a movie theater. Ew. Gross. Huge blow-up last night with some backstory. Me, 44M, and wife, 45F. Married for 22 years, 3 kids. I'm an emotional wreck right now. Very long and complex situation, but I'll try to make it brief, and I'm sure I'll leave stuff out. Married for 22 years, 3 kids. Wife hates my parents because of things they have done to her in the past. At this point I don't even really remember what they did. Parents have been in and out of our lives for various reasons but they want to be involved again, but wife wants nothing to do with them. Says she will not allow kids to be around people who are evil and will hurt them. They tried to get involved again over the summer when one of our kids got cancer. He is better now. Had a huge blow-up last night because I said I wanted to see them over the holidays. She packed up a bunch of stuff and moved down to the basement. I feel like I am in the middle trying to appease both sides. I am a very emotional person who doesn't ever want to hurt anyone. So over the years I have done a lot of nothing about the situation. On one side, I hurt my parents and jeopardize that side of my family relationship. On the other side, I hurt my wife and probably end my marriage. She blew up last night in front of the kids and had them crying as well. That got me extremely upset as well. We've been to counseling in the past. It helps for a while, but nothing is permanent because I allow things to happen. I am in counseling again by myself because I just have a lot pent up that I need to talk about. I was researching intensive couples therapy today and think it may be what we need to do to figure out if things are going to work or not. I honestly think I would be fine on my own except for what it would do to the kids. I am very introverted and have a very small circle, thus why the relationship with my parents seems so important to me. I just can't imagine not being able to hug my kids before bed every night. I actually went to counseling today and felt a little better after talking, but now I'm feeling even worse. I just don't see an end to this, at least not one where people are happy. Spewing lots of stuff here. But just feel like I need to hear from people. Also, and this may be weird, but I work from home and wouldn't mind talking to someone if anyone feels so compelled to reach out tomorrow. Sorry for the long post. But I am just all out of sorts right now. Last thing, one of my kids just came over and whispered to me, "Have you and Mom talked today?" It's really bothering him. And #X200B. Edit. Forgot to add that my parents live 5 hours away, so it's not like this is always happening. However, when they make the trip over here, they stay with my sister who lives an hour from us and want to see us. They were here several times during my son's treatment and they come for the holidays. This time they are bringing my 93-year-old grandmother who just recently lost her second husband. At this point I don't even really remember what they did. I don't believe you. You are sweeping their toxic actions under the rug and totally dismissing your wife's concerns. You need to recall what they did and why your wife has such a strong need to protect your children. You cannot make everyone happy. Accept it. You can either be a father and protect your children, a husband and protect your wife, or a dutiful son to make your parents happy. As it currently stands, you are failing at all three. Start by listening to your wife. How do I, 18 female, tell my mom, 47 female, that I am not coming back after she kicked me out? Some info about my family to avoid confusion. My mom and father, 67 male, are divorced. And my mother is married to my stepdad, 65 male. And I lived with my mom and stepdad at the time. So a few months ago, my parents kicked me out after I refused to sign a FERPA release form. I receive VA benefits for college tuition because my father is a veteran, and there were some confusing issues around it that led my mother and stepdad to want me to sign the FERPA release form so they could take control and deal with it because they believed I wouldn't be able to handle it. They brought this up the day I was to leave back to college after spending the weekend at their place over fall break, literally the hour before they were going to drive me back to campus. They said that I was going to sign it or I wasn't going to be going back to school and would need to figure out how to return to campus on my own. I refused, because at the time I knew nothing about what the contract was and felt it extremely inappropriate for it to be brought up the way they were going about it, and boy, that was not the reaction they wanted. My mother told me I was being a fool and should just sign it, as I don't know how to deal with the complexities behind my tuition according to her. She said she would give me until the end of the week to deal with it on my own after I've signed it, and then she would tear it up. I still refused, as there was no way I was going to be signing a contract I know nothing about under such short notice, and given the history behind my parents' treatment towards me, I in no way trusted them enough to even agree to my mother's ultimatum. In response to this, they both blew up on me. My mother said, "Well, then, you can sign this or we're kicking you out. You can find your own way to school. I'm not dealing with you right now. You're being bullheaded." And I just looked at them silently. Since there was no way in hell I was signing that thing, I just turned and headed to the basement to find some boxes and start packing my things. While looking around, I texted a few of my friends from college to see if I could get a ride, letting them know what happened. It was pretty late, nearing 11 p.m., but one of my friend's roommates was going to be able to pick me up. At the same time this was happening, my mother came down into the basement to yell at me some more, saying I was being ridiculous. I kept trying to explain that I was not going to sign a contract under such short notice that I know nothing about, that I would want to speak with my academic advisor and people who would be more knowledgeable on the subject and offer different perspectives. She continued to yell at me, calling me names and then walking out before I could defend myself. As I was bringing a few boxes to my room, my stepdad was following me around the house, constantly repeating the same questions along the lines of, "Where are you going to go? Are you just leaving? You're really throwing out everything you worked hard for over this?" And I could do nothing but give a defeated, "It doesn't matter anymore." Near the beginning of the school year, my parents had pulled a similar thing. I got into an argument with my stepdad. I was refusing his help to carry my things to my dorm after returning from a short break, but he kept trying to pull my stuff away from me. I definitely didn't react well, but I was upset, and having that paired with him yelling at me was not a good combination for a calm and level-headed response, and my mother sent me a long text afterwards saying she was cutting me off. I then stopped responding to her texts, proceeding to have one of the worst 2 weeks of my life at the time. Eventually, my mom took it back and said she never cut me off and that she of course would keep financially supporting me, that I was acting ridiculous and need to just get over myself. And then, of course, when I returned to them for fall break, my parents took it a step further by completely kicking me out when I didn't do what they wanted me to. I then wrote an 8th post about it the following morning after I got back to campus, as I felt crazy for my reaction and thought maybe they were right and I should have just signed it. My post exceeded the word count limit, so the comments were locked, but I received some very helpful messages regarding the issue and all of them said I was not the asshole and did a good thing in not signing the release form, as well as giving me very helpful advice and information on what the FERPA does and what it would mean if I signed the release form. Eventually, I got the help of my academic advisor, who said the same thing, and I was able to resolve the issue that was going on with the VA benefits that started this whole thing. But I couldn't let it go. They kicked me out, so I was confined to my dorm room and refused to respond to my parents' texts. I was filled with so much pain, but I was in no way surprised in the slightest by this. I had spent my entire life attempting to prepare for something like this, as I knew that at some point they would kick me out over one thing or another, as I am queer and knew if they found out the truth they would not react kindly. And given the fact they were willing to kick me out over this, I certainly am in no desire to tell them about that. My mom kept trying to text me, acting like nothing happened, but I still would not respond. I got in contact with my campus wellness center to receive mental health support after I ended up surprising both myself and my academic advisor in confessing I had suicidal thoughts. They ended up never following through with getting me a therapist, but it's whatever. While this was all going on, my mom kept blowing up my phone to the point I had to mute her, as she continued to berate me and call me stupid over my refusal to sign the form and then suddenly acting friendly. Eventually she sent an email that went like this: "I cannot believe you are behaving this way. I am your mother and I love you. How will you pay for next year? And where will you go over Christmas break? You are only hurting yourself. You are an adult and if you are choosing not to have a relationship with me, that is your right. I have provided for you, loved you and cared for you and I do not deserve this treatment. I asked you to sign one paper so I can speak with the school on your behalf. As your mother I will always love you no matter what, but I must warn you of your foolish behavior. Relationships require work and a give and take by both parties. I have given and you have taken. I asked you to sign for one thing and you refused." An hour later, she then sent the following email afterwards. "I am still not sure why you are so angry. If I said something that hurt you, I am sorry. I am not sorry for asking you to get me help or sign the FERPA agreement. Again, I love you for some reason. I just found immense amusement in those emails. They were just so funny to me. Not once had I actually interacted with her, only trying to ignore her as I tried to focus on school. I never once expressed anger towards my mother, and I never really was angry to begin with. I wasn't surprised or bitter. I was just tired, crestfallen, and little relieved that my parents ending up pulling the plug and made getting out of that house easier. But I was never really angry, as I had gotten over my anger towards my parents a long time ago before I ended up losing faith in them a few months later. But that's a long story we won't go into. Cut to now, where I'm going on winter break. I'm staying with my roommate at her place as I know I am unwelcomed at my parents' house. My mom ends up asking if I was coming over, and I eventually sent her an email saying no, that I was at a friend's and would not be returning since she kicked me out and made it clear I am not welcome. She then said she never kicked me out and I am always welcomed in her home. She now wants to talk about what happened, but I am still just not ready to do that. I don't even know what I would say. I don't want to go back to that place. My best friend is taking me in after the school year is over. I've wrestled so much with that doubtful feeling that always made me come crawling back to my mother only for her to hurt me again. But whenever I feel that way I suddenly remember a torrent of memories reminding me why I need to stay away and how I deserve better treatment than this. I have always forgiven her but never forgot what she did to me. At some point, a person has to run out of second chances, and my mother has expressed that these actions are not mistakes but a pattern of behavior. But her recent expression of concern and care is making me doubt everything and it scares me. So, Reddit, how do I tell her I am not coming back after what she did to me? I'm not even sure if I should do that. I don't know what to say or do. Any help and advice is welcome. Too long did not read. My mother gave me an ultimatum to either sign a FERPA release form or she would kick me out. I refused to sign, so I got kicked out. Now she's trying to backtrack and say she never did that and wants me to come back and is pretending nothing happened. At this moment, you might find it helpful to be introduced to the narcissist's prayer. That didn't happen, and if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Does any of this ring true for you? The best thing you can do is protect yourself. You are doing the right thing. She is really trying to do a number on you. You do not have to contact her. You do not owe her your time or attention. You have the right to decide how to spend your emotional energy. May peace be with you. First off, great job with how you handled this. Tell her that you would consider coming back if she writes out what their motive was for wanting you to sign so badly. She has to be 100% honest as your mother. Then I could go limited contact with them. Move forward with your life. How do I convince my friends that my new relationship isn't weird? Making a throwaway because my ex frequently looks at this sub. Too long did not read. I broke up with my girlfriend after dating for a year, and soon after breaking up with her started dating my boss at work. Let me, 19M, start from the beginning. So, a little over a year ago, I started dating a girl we'll call Mary, 19F, for now. I had just started college, and just got out of a relationship with a girl I had been dating throughout all of high school. Part of me wanted to stay single during my first year of college just so I could focus on getting adjusted and everything. However, I then met Mary, and quickly my plans fell apart as I started to develop feelings for her. Only a few weeks after becoming friends we started dating, and it was great. At the time I would even have said that it was better than the relationship I was in during high school. The whole school year went by, and the relationship was great overall, nothing much to complain about, except that she would get mad at me whenever I would play Honeypop with my friends on Discord or when I drank at parties. Over the summer, I took on an internship at a dentistry, and quickly began to grow close with my boss, who we'll call Morgan, 25F. She and I began to spend a lot of time with each other, and before I knew it, we were close friends. And let me stop you before you make any assumptions. I had no intentions to cheat on Mary. I was happy to date Mary and be friends with Morgan. However, as I began to work more and more over the summer, Mary and I began to drift apart. We had less and less time to spend together, and eventually, the relationship was a shadow of its former self. Since it was the beginning of a new school year, and Mary and I were growing distant, I made a difficult decision and broke up with Mary. A few weeks went by in the school year of me being single once again, but then, I started to develop feelings again, but this time it was for Morgan. Because of the age difference, I was a little anxious over the situation. It felt like I only had a slim chance of getting a date with Morgan. After a few days of deliberating, I swallowed my anxiety and decided to ask her out. To my surprise, she said yes. We soon after began dating, and it's been great so far. We're still dating to this day after around 3.5 months. Now, here's where the problem starts. I was updating my friends on my relationship situation as things went on just to keep them informed and maybe have a few shoulders to lean on in case things went south. But, to my dismay, they seemed to be really upset with me about my decisions. They said it was really suspicious of me to break up with Mary and quickly begin dating Morgan after. They also really latched onto the whole 6-year age gap and dating your boss thing and said that it was really weird of me. We're both adults, it shouldn't be a big deal that we're dating. Two adults dating is not a big deal at all, 100% agree with you. A 6 years age gap is not a problem neither, so all tranquilo, amigo. But, it's never about the age gap, but where that age gap is, you know what I mean. A 19 years old dating someone 6 years older is weird at best, but it ain't really a good look. A lot of things change when you go from your teens to your adult life. A 31 years old dating someone who is 37. All good, they're probably on the same page life-wise. Also, she is your boss. I can't stress this enough, mate. There is a power dynamic that's not okay right there. A 25-yo dating a 19-yo is weird, and a boss dating their subordinate is weird. This is double weird.